Hello. My name is Dr. Ankana. I have secured an All India rank of 3521 in NEET PG 2025, and this was my first attempt with the internship. And if you're someone who's an intern right now, or who's post-intern, who's kind of like confused and lost and doesn't really know like how to like go about this exam, what to do, then I'm just here to tell you that I was in a very similar place around this time last year in the month of November, and here are 5 things that I did that helped me achieve and get to this place that I am today right now. Number 1, mindset. And I personally believe that this is one of the most important steps of it all, because I personally believe that if you have the right mindset in place, there's nothing that can stop you from cracking this exam. Nothing. Because I truly believe one of the biggest reasons why we fail or why we aren't able to achieve the dreams that we are dreaming is one of the biggest reasons, I believe, are the limitations that we put on ourselves in our own minds. Our mind believes that, oh, I'll never be able to achieve that, I'll never be able to do that. But no. If you have to crack this exam, if you want to crack the INI set in the month of May 2026, if you want to crack NEET PG in 2026, you have to start by telling yourself, I am cracking NEET PG 2026. I am cracking INI set May 2026. Not I am going to, not I will be cracking, but I am. And why do I say you have to say I am to yourself? Because when you do that, when you practice that, you convince your mind that the dream that you're dreaming, that is your reality. You have to envision yourself, you have to envision your life in your dream branch. You have to envision your dream rank. You have to envision that life as if it's your reality, as if it's just there, just like 6 or 7 months down the line. It's there for you and only you. And this is the thing, there will be many times when you're like doubting yourself, when the demons of your past are coming back to haunt you, when the failures and the mistakes that you've made in the past, they're coming in your present and they're telling you that, you know what, this time is no different, it's gonna be the same thing over and over again. Those things do happen in our mind a lot. But here's what you want to do in moments like that. You're going to remind yourself and tell yourself again, I am cracking the exam this time, I am qualifying this exam. You're going to tell yourself that, you know what, all of that was in my past. All of those are just my insecurities, it's just my anxiety. And it's a normal part of the process, it's a normal part of the preparation phase. It's just my mind's way of trying to prepare myself for a failure that might not happen. And the failure is not going to happen because you're telling yourself every day that I am cracking this exam. And when you are telling yourself that every single day, you will notice the change. You will notice the change in your own habits. You will notice that you're procrastinating less. You will notice that you're practicing more MCQs. Your mind will convince you to like work step by step, take little steps towards achieving your own goal. And the way I implemented this in my own life during my own preparation phase was that I had this like little placard in front of my study area, and I had written on that placard, I am cracking NEET PG 2025. And I wrote a very specific rank, that I am getting All India rank this. And surprisingly, actually not surprisingly, because you know what, it's been all about believing that mindset, I got a rank very close to that rank. So you can call it manifestation, you can call it whatever, but it does work. You cannot let doubt take the upper hand. Having the mindset, you have the mindset, you're already like 40% closer to achieving your goal. Number 2, preparing a very concise revision material for the last 15 days, before the exam. And I feel this is the second most important thing of it all. And here's why. Because no matter how many times you study all the subjects, no matter how many times you revise, or no matter how many number of PYQs and grant tests you give, if you do not revise all the 19 subjects just 15 or 12 days prior the exam, if you're not doing that, chances are you will not be getting a rank as good as your preparation is. So what I would suggest is, as you're preparing, as you're like studying, whatever you're studying, whatever subject you're studying, whatever PYQs you're doing, whatever is important and has been asked in the question, whatever topic that has been asked in the question over and over again, I would suggest that you gather all those topics and start making a revision material for yourself, a very concise revision material for yourself, because it's not possible to read every single thing about every subject in the last 15 days before the exam. And trust me, this strategy works. If you can read all 19 subjects at least once in the last 15 days before the exam, if you can do that, if you're able to achieve that, your rank will get a boost. And this works, trust me. So you have to concise your notes, you have to concise all your mistakes copy, you have to like make a very crisp chote copy that is like the 20th notebook, where you're writing like all the pieces of volatile information that we like tend to forget, or that we like tend to make mistakes over and over again. So like this is the second step of cracking. Step 3, getting rid of the FOMO. And I feel this is something that all faculties will tell you, all toppers will tell you, anyone who has ever cracked this exam will tell you that this is an exam where quality is more important than quantity. And what I mean by that is, when you are just starting your first read, when you are just in the process of preparing for this exam, you will feel like watching all the main videos of all subjects, you will feel like reading all the main notes of all subjects, you will feel like covering everything, be it whatever source you're using. And that is not the way to go about it, because if you're wasting your time reading the main notes of one particular subject, say surgery, okay, it will take you almost 1 month to just cover the subject of surgery, more than 1 month even, if you're like planning on watching all the main videos and main notes. So what is more important than that, what I felt was more important than that, was revising that same subject twice or thrice, 4 times also if it's possible. And the only way you can do that is if you start with a concise version of those main notes from the beginning. And I feel that the rapid revision notes of any platform that you're using are more than enough. I personally use Marrow rapid revision notes, and along with that I supplemented it with BTR notes, and I use BTR for almost all subjects, because like I said, for the last 15 days before the exam you need a very concise source, and I feel like BTR does the job. BTR by Dr. Zanamfura ma'am, it does an incredible job at that. And I read Marrow rapid revision notes. You can use any other rapid revision notes from any of these other apps, and I combined the two of them, and I solved like all PYQs, and I solved all PYQs at least like 2 or 3 times from the Q bank. And I kept on adding the mistakes that I made in the PYQs in that BTR notebook, and in my own revision notes notebook I kept on adding those mistakes, and I revised everything over and over again. But in order to be able to revise so many number of times, at least 3 or 4 times, the thing that I had to do was to let go of the FOMO in my brain, that I needed to read everything, that I needed to read all the main notes and watch all the main videos. If you're someone who's in like 3rd year, 2nd year, or like final year, then definitely you watch the main videos, you watch the main notes. But if you're someone who's starting in internship year, I would suggest that you start with the rapid revision videos, you start with those. Marrow rapid revision videos are more than enough. And if there's a particular concept which you're not able to understand fully, then you can maybe watch the main videos for that concept. But I would recommend personally that you do not delve into that abyss of watching main videos and main notes and covering everything, because that way you will not be able to have sufficient amount of time to revise the content that you've studied over and over again. Your number of revisions that you'll be able to do of the subject will reduce. And this is the thing, you're studying so many things, And the only way your brain will like remember so many things, the only way your brain will remember so many things in anatomy, so many things in microbiology, biochemistry, which is like purely information, so much of information, is if you revise it over and over again. So again, quality of the content more important than the quantity of the content. Step 4, having a study buddy. Now that you know step 2, that is to have a very concise revisable bunch of notes. I don't think revisable is a word, scratch that. Anyway, now that you know that step 2 is to have a very concise compact bunch of notes for the last 15 days, and now that you also know step 3, which is to have a concise version of whatever notes you're studying and to revise it over and over again, like that is the goal, that quality over quantity. Now that you know all of that, step 4 is to have a study buddy, a study partner who will help you stick through the plan that you've made. Everyone on this platform, everyone who has cracked this exam will tell you that you need to have a plan. But how to like stick to your plan? Because I personally felt that I was one of those people who had the tendency of procrastinating a lot, who had the tendency of falling short of their goals a lot, who sometimes was not fully motivated to study. No matter how much I had that mindset, like our brain does get fatigued, right? And those moments do set in. So what helped in moments like that was to have a study partner who was also like studying with me for this exam, and to study with them and to like discuss things with them and to like give each other goals. So what we used to do was, like we used to solve like 50 or 100 MCQs per day, and I would call them up and I'd be like, how much did you score, how many questions did you get correct, and that person would be like, oh, I haven't solved that yet. And then they would solve and they tell me I got this much number of questions correct, and then we would like discuss whatever things we got incorrect, and like we would like both discuss that, what, today let's study this subject. And maybe I decided that I'd study ortho, and that person decided that person would study derma, because that was their weak subject and ortho was my weak subject. And we would study those subjects and we would ask each other questions from whatever subjects like we have studied. Like I'd ask him questions from derma and he'd ask me questions from ortho, because like ortho was that person's strong suit and derma was kind of like my strong suit. So that's something, that practice is something that helped me stay on track. And I would highly recommend anyone who's like preparing for this exam is to like go online, go on Telegram groups, go on WhatsApp groups, and find a person who shares the same goals as you and make them your study partner. That will help you stick to your plans much better than any planner would. And finally, step 5, solving MCQs. This is an exam of MCQs, and it goes without saying that you need to solve as many MCQs as possible. You need to be solving at least 25 to 50 MCQs per day. And what I mean when I say that you need to solve MCQs, it's not just reading the question and having the 4 answers and just choosing the right or incorrect option. It's not just that. For every question that you get incorrect, or for every question that you get correct by guesswork, you need to read the explanation for that. You need to understand the concept behind that question. You need to understand why you got that wrong, and you need to note it down in your mistakes copy. That is what I mean when I say solve MCQs, not just simply getting it green or getting it red in the options area. No, you need to identify your mistakes. You need to write it down in your mistakes copy or in your notes, wherever you're adding your mistakes into, and you need to revise that mistakes copy before taking another test. Whatever grand tests you're giving, whatever tests you're giving, whatever mistakes you're making in that test, after every grand test you need to sit down and see all the mistakes that you've made, and you need to write down those mistakes in a copy, and you need to revise that mistakes copy before you take the next test. You will see that if you start doing this, the moment you start doing this, your scores will improve, and you will learn so much more by actively solving questions than you will from passively learning notes. So you need to solve MCQs. Everyone will tell you this. This is boring advice, but this is highly effective advice, and this works like magic. Your scores will start improving like magic. It's not magic, it's science. It will start improving like that. So solve as many MCQs as you can, and as the exam gets closer, increase that number from 50 to 100. Do as many MCQs as you can per day. This is an exam of MCQs. Once you start doing MCQs daily, you learn the art of solving MCQs. You get into that habit of ruling out answers. Your brain knows how to rule out the incorrect answer. Even if you do not know the correct answer, your brain knows how to eliminate the wrong answer. You learn all that. So solve as many MCQs as you can. Bonus point: you need to take care of your mental health. This exam, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's a long process, and it's a very mentally, physically and emotionally exhausting one. So you need to have your mental health, your peace of mind in one piece while you're preparing for this exam. So you need to cut off people who make you feel small. You need to cut off negative influences from your life. You need to cut off contact with them. You need to set boundaries with those people, and you need to surround yourself with people that make you feel good about yourself. You need to surround yourself with people who make you feel warm, who help you feel positive. And while everyone talks about how many sacrifices you need to make in order to crack this exam, I also want to remind you that you cannot lose yourself completely while you're making those sacrifices. You cannot. So whenever you're studying in a day, you need to set apart some amount of time just for yourself, just for recreational purposes, some amount of time for having fun. Cracking this exam does not mean you do not get to have a little bit of amount of fun. You get to have fun in moderation, and in fact, it is that fun, it is the dopamine that you get from having that amount of fun, that is what helps you keep going. That is what helps you feel like the journey is enjoyable. So be it whatever be your hobbies, whatever, maybe you like watching sitcoms or movies, or you like doing sports, or you like going to the gym, please do not stop doing that. Set apart some part of the day for just doing those activities, and you'll see that the process of studying in the remaining parts of the day becomes much more enjoyable. Those are the things that keep our mental health in place, mental health in check. And if you're ever feeling too down, if you're feeling negative thoughts, do reach out to your friends, do reach out to your family, do reach out to the people who'll understand. Take professional help if it's needed, but take care of your mental health. You've got this. And if you ever feel like you're not going to crack this exam, just tell yourself this: you've cracked NEET PG. You have passed 4 professional MBBS examinations. If you could do that, you could do NEET PG too. So take care. Goodbye. And if you like this video, hit the follow button.